Alright, we're at Dieter's Dairy today, going to discuss parlor barn and cattle barn safety. I'm Kyle Chandler.
And I'm Colby Dieters. We're here in the utility part of the barn. We're about to enter the parlor. As you can see, that's where the cows are being milked. It's important to be quiet and not startle the cows for our safety and the safety of the workers in the pit.
As you can see, the floor is all wet. It's pretty easy to slip on, slippery concrete. It's all wet.
That's the case pretty much everywhere in the parlor here. Obviously, you gotta watch too. There's a pit is a hole, so you would want to slip up here and fall into the bottom. Be slow and careful when you go down into the pit. Now we're entering the pit. Alright, come down here. As you can see, the cow's legs and the udders are placed up here for convenience when milking. But, and the butt pen is here. It holds obviously when the cattle pee, protects you from that, and it also protects from kicking, which can make a false sense of security because you can still be kicked, and if you are, you have to worry about it being in the range of your face. Always be careful when working with the cows to be slow and cautious with the first contact or udder because they get jumpy and then they settle down after you're touching them for a bit. And always just be calm. Try not to startle the cows for the safety of yourself and anyone else working in the pit.
Alright, this is the return lane. This is where they let the cattle out after they've been milked. You want to be careful when walking in because obviously you could get stepped on or run over by them. They let them go one at or only a few at a time so they don't go crazy and run into each other.
And again, be careful not to startle them because if the cattle are startled and get in a rush, then they're more dangerous to us.
Step all over.
Here we're entering the return lane holding pen area. This is where the cows, we bring them up from the parlor down there. This is where they wait to be milked. As you can see, they're piled in. And sometimes it's really cold, there's not much room to move. He's trying to work around the outside as carefully as possible between him and the cattle. Make sure that he doesn't get trampled. The cattle don't fall. Quiet and pen, not yelling, not whistling, he's not hitting the cattle with anything. And they're walking calmly forward and entering the parlor up there on their own, which is the idea. Unless you have to force the cattle, the better. You don't want to have to, you don't want them to feel rushed because that day becomes a problem. Head toward the back, you can see the cattle that we just let go and walk out and exited the barn on their own through the footpath. Nobody fell, nobody got hurt because they moved slow on their own. These cattle are used to being around people, so you can be around them, you can talk and everything without causing problems, as long as you don't do anything louder and obnoxious to scare them.
And outside.
Now we're leaving the parlor part, heading down to the housing barn, where this is what's called the breezeway. It's colder, it's wet, it's slippery, and there's a slope. So in this barn in particular, you have to be extra careful not to rush the cattle because they'll start running, and once they get to the bottom they can fall, and that's no good. Cut.
Alright, as you can see, this is the gutter where all the poop goes into from the cows in the holding pen. It gets pumped down here. If you're ever working on this, you would want to be accompanied by somebody because there's Obviously, a lot of ways to get hurt. You could slip and fall down in here.
It's all liquid manure down in there, so if it's full and you go in, your odds are pretty slim. So it's important to be only go in there when you need to and be accompanied by someone else.
Oh, you gotta be careful they don't bite you. Because, I mean, okay, I guess they don't have teeth. And hurt. So you're good. So, yeah. Yep.
All right, we're up here on top of the corn silage pile. The reason you have to be on here every couple days, you have to come up and cut back the plastics. You have to move these sidewall beads, cut the plastic back, peel it, and I think the thing to be careful with here is pretty self-explanatory. We're 20, 30 feet in the air, and below us is asphalt.
It'd be a doozy falling off of here.
Cut. Going. Okay, we're down in the barn here, and you can see down in the far corner, he's bedding the stalls right now. If you look up in the air, it's a haze of dust. The guy running the skid loader is wearing a dust mask. You wouldn't want to do that job without it. It'd be miserable. I've done it before. It's no fun. And if you're in the barn for any other reason while he's bedding, it's something that you want to be careful of. It goes away pretty quick, but it's something to watch for because you can hack for a while from that stuff. It's ground straw being run through a shredder, so cut once. Alright, one thing to always watch for when you're running machinery in the barn, there's no reason to have the engine wide open ramming around. But this guy, as you saw, had it idled down slowly, and he's being careful of well, if you look at that gate right there, that's what happens when someone isn't careful enough. We're lucky or unlucky enough to see it happen before our eyes, and unfortunately we weren't able to figure out who did it. But it's one thing to watch for, because stuff like that isn't cheap.
When working around groups of cattle, you always got to be careful about other people in the pens. You never know who's around. You got to always make sure you know where they are. Hope it doesn't get ran over.
All right, we're by the lagoon manure pit. It's about probably a third full right now. You can see how much is in there. Anyway, there shouldn't ever be a reason why you would go on the other side of this fence. Cut.
This is the milk room. This is where a lot of the chemicals and feeding supply is stored.
Over here, this is the sink. That's where it's all. Where the sanitizer, these tubs, acid sanitizer, other sanitizer. You can come down here and look at this label. It shows. It says danger, which is, if I remember right on the scale, it was caution or warning, caution, warning, and then danger was the worst one. So this is bad stuff. And then over here, we're looking at the milk tank. This comes from the cooling system where the hot water gets pumped out. Be careful for stuff like that. It's not a big deal. And then right here, here's another label. This is for the milk tank sanitizer. This is a warning. It says wear eye protection, rubber gloves, etc. Yada yada yada. And then always wash hands when done using any of these chemicals.
In conclusion, we're going to do a short recap of all the things we went over today. Remember to be careful of slippery floors, stay calm and quiet, avoid starting the cattle at all times.
Be aware of machinery that's operating around you. Be aware of others and equipment while running machinery. Work in pairs when doing dangerous jobs. Use care with dangerous chemicals and wash hands when done.
And always use common sense.